dark cement bricks not only make my cell seem smaller, but my thoughts and memories are making me feel like I'm drowning. Whenever the clouds outside shade my cell and the raindrops bounce off of my only window, my scar across my eye begins to throb uncontrollably. I've completely shattered my mirror because all I can see is that ugly mark my father left me. It's so hard to pick my head up when I leave my cell because I constantly hear whispers and beeps. When I first arrived in this hellhole, I really enjoyed the quiet. I felt almost as though the others have heard of me and my past and were afraid. The quiet felt like a warm blanket that calmed me down and let me forget about reality. Nowadays, the quiet seems to follow me wherever I go, almost as if it were an ominous orb of all the people who made the mistake to drink and drive. Living in this small town of Kate Uptown, South Dakota, the law doesn't crack down on those drunk drivers. Maybe it's because there's an undercover moonshining business in the mountains that is rumored to be run by the mayor's family. Either way, drinking and driving doesn't only endanger the driver, but also everyone around him or her. When I was 10 years old, I created a terrible relationship with my father. Every time he'd come home drunk after the bar or at a friend's house, I'd tell him how disappointed I was with him. I would express how embarrassed he made me when he would do that, especially with me in the car. I always could tell when my father had been drinking because his baby blue Mustang would reek of cigarettes and Budweiser, his favorite. One rainy night in the middle of the summer, my father and I were coming back from a 4th of July party at his brother's house. I kept insisting that we ask his brother to stay the night, but he was too stubborn and he kept turning it down. As soon as we got in that old Mustang, I gave my father the cold shoulder. I couldn't believe that he wouldn't listen to me. I was only trying to keep him safe. We were getting into Kate Uptown when my father turns to me and drunkenly exclaims, "Everyone drinks and drives, Emily. I'm not the only one. You're making me out to seem like a monster because I had a few drinks." I couldn't control myself, and energy was exploding throughout my body, up through my stomach and out my mouth. "You have a problem, Dad. I don't care about what everyone else does. Ever since Mom left us, you've drowned yourself in alcohol, and I've had to watch out for you." For once in my life, my dad became baffled. He'd always have something to say when he'd argue. By looking at him, I could tell he was thinking harder than ever. His eyes were getting glassy, and his face was turning pink. He takes one hand off the wheel to wipe his eyes and turns to look at me. He opens his mouth and said, "Emily, I'm..." Boom. That's all I can remember. The nurses said he died on impact. The police assumed he swerved into the other lane and collided with another car due to the amount of alcohol in his system. Just like that, my father was dead, and all that was left of him was the mark across my eye. For the next few years, I moved from foster home to foster home until the day I turned 18. I began to notice during those years of my life that the deep silence would sometimes play tricks on me. There have been times when I could have sworn that I heard hospital equipment beeping in the distance. Those beeps would light up a fury from deep within me that had been uncontrollable. The beeps just reminded me of my stubborn father and my scar. That's how I got here, because of those beeps. All of 4 of those people are at the lake's bottom with a scar across their eye because of those beeps. It was their decision to drink and drive. Laying in my beaten up old bed, I listened to the silence of the jail. It feels like there was an apocalypse and I'm the only one left, hiding in a jail. I can't remember the last time I saw a guard walk by. My cell seems to get darker and darker by the second. The faint sound of beeping grabs my attention as it comes closer and closer to me. Louder and louder, my heart pounding, my scar throbbing, the sound of nurses bustling through the halls with their stethoscopes knocking against their pens in their front pockets. I shut my eyes tight and cover my eyes with my hands. The sounds aren't going away. I feel trapped as the noises surround me, making me claustrophobic. Then it stops. I'm blind. Instead of pure darkness, I see a bright light Am I dead? Did I have a heart attack? My eyes suddenly adjust as the images become more clear. I see a ceiling fan with the fluorescent light bulbs lighting up my body, giving me energy and adrenaline. The beeping comes back with the sound of nurses. I look around at my legs, and I see the hospital gown. A nurse greets me with a tall glass of water and tells me about the car accident I had. She informs me that my father has died on impact, and that I had a terrible cut across my eye. As I ask them to show me the wound, they bring a mirror over to me. Naturally, I flinch as she brings it closer. Then I see it, my dilapidated 10-year-old face. I sit there staring into space for minutes, possibly hours, contemplating what just happened. I snap out of it by the sound of beeping. My heart begins to race uncontrollably.